This is just the beginning of the episode. Welcome to Tabletop Shop.
Hello and welcome back to the Tabletop Shop podcast. If you happen to enjoy the 2023 analysis of our plays last year, you're in for another treat. And, if you didn't enjoy last year's, then just mute this and keep it running in the background to get us those watch hours. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nate Clark, and as always, seated across the country from me is your other co-host, Mr. Cody Pennington.
It's me. I'm here. I'm still stuffy. Nate, we need to actually start recording in the afternoon when I haven't just woken up and I sound like death.
Why is that? Why is that a thing? I'm not that way. Probably for the first 5 minutes after I wake up, I'm that way, and then I'm over it. So what's your deal? You still sick?
I think the problem is that I am always congested, Nate, and it always sounds worst in the morning.
You pursued podcasting as a career. Questionable.
I mean, I could go all into it. I could make that my persona. I can hold my nose. Hello, welcome to Tabletop Shop.
Cody, save that for the NPCs in our RPGs, all right?
Ooh, hey, there's an idea, man.
There you go.
I like that. It'll be me.
Intro question for you.
All right.
What is a game that you, to your knowledge, have never lost, but you have played multiple times, right? This can't be I played that once and I won. Something you've played multiple times, but you've never lost.
Oh, okay, multiple. I was going to say I could probably pick something that I've only ever played once, and it was with Kirsten, and then I won.
You can't do that.
Multiple times. Can I cheat and look at my list?
Yeah, of course. This isn't like a pop quiz. This is I'm genuinely interested.
Dude, I don't know if I'm going to have a real good answer for you. Something played more than once. I mean, off the top of my head, I might say one of the Forbidden Island or Forbidden Desert games.
A cooperative.
I haven't played those. Yeah, I mean, maybe one of those. I don't know, everything else I played a bunch of times, so for sure I have not won every single one. Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that for you, man, besides that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a hard question, right?
Yeah. How about you? You have one?
I was thinking about it, and the only thing I can really think of, probably there's some other ones, but we've been gaming for so long now, it's kind of hard to keep track of it. I'm not sure I ever lost at Three Sisters. I probably played it 4 or 5 times. I don't think I ever lost at that.
Yeah, that's real exciting. We should play Three Sisters sometime, and then go head to head, see what happens.
Cody, I was just going to say, I'll give you the chance to destroy me here. Are you able to figure out what your high score is in Three Sisters?
Oh, heck yeah, man. I keep a doc for all this stuff. While I'm pulling that up, I was going to say possibly Carnegie is maybe a game that I've
Kirsten's
never
never beat you?
Well, we haven't played that many games, and I know she doesn't like it as much as me, so I think maybe I've won each time. Now, I have played the solo game against on Board Game Arena, and I think I may have lost at some point there. But that's not real, right? Let's see. Games I've played. Three Sisters. My high score is 149.
My high is 135, Cody. So you do, in fact, beat me, I guess.
Is it on BGA?
Could be. Actually, I have no idea.
I'm looking through my Carnegie plays from 2024, and I found 3 so far, and they're all marked as wins. Oh, there's a loss in December.
What? Wasn't to me, that's for sure.
That might have been against the computer, though. Maybe that was it. Yeah, we'll just say that. Anyway, good intro question, man. I love those stumps, those stumpers.
Good to know. I'll give you an impossible question next up.
Okay, that's great. It'd be how many games have you played total in your life?
That would be you probably keep track of that too. So.
Well, no, not
Oh, you're talking about plays?
Games. How many plays have you had in your life?
Well, I can't fact check you, so I mean.
That's true. I can just make it up. I've played 80,000 games, Nate.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
have you played anything in the recent past that you'd like to spotlight, Cody?
Dude, it's been so long since we've actually like done that sort of segment. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I have. Let me see. I mean, we played Great Western Trail, but you've talked about that before. I don't need to get into that. And I think I've talked about Scholars of the South Tigris, because I'm pretty sure I remember getting excited about that and then telling you about it over the podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
Kirsten and I are working on a game of Inventors. We like started it, and then we got sick, and she got sick for like a week. She's still getting over it, and her brain hasn't been functioning. And it's a 4.35 weight on BGG,
Wow.
so we haven't got back to finish it yet. It's still sitting there on the table, so we'll get back to it. Hopefully this weekend would be nice.
That is a very high weight.
It is according to BGG, I think the weightiest game probably that I've ever played. But yeah, that is in my possession.
It's probably not as bad if you've played other Garfield games, and especially if you played other South Tigris games. It's probably not as difficult.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because it doesn't feel like the heaviest game I've ever played. Like Nucleum has a lot going on. Brass definitely is quite complicated. You know, there's like a few other ones that I probably actually put a bit over this. But yeah, if you were like new to the hobby, you've never played a Garfield games, then yeah, this might hit you up.
Well, also complexity has a lot of nuance to it, right? Like you might find a really open well, actually, I'll use myself as an example. I find a really open decision space very difficult in a game. You know, games that are sandboxy but not thematic are games that I really struggle with, or sandboxy and thematic, honestly, because it's just so. Actually, maybe the better way to put it is like sandboxy Euros, because it's still like a crunchy Euro, but it's a sandboxy game where you can kind of go into whatever you want, and there's so much stress to be doing as well as everybody else, but not knowing the right way to do it. You know. So like that, you know, for me, that makes a game more complex, whereas to somebody else, it might make it easier, right? So there is nuance to just the word complexity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even as you were saying that, I was thinking about Inventors, because there's only like 3 types of actions you can take in the game. So, I mean, there is some focus on like, okay, do I want to do this, or do this? But then each of those actions have like 10,000 possibilities connected with them, and all these little rules that you have to remember, and all these different nuances.
Yeah.
So it's nice kind of having that focus. And that's why Scholars, I think, was still rated over a 4 on BGG. But I feel like it made more sense than Wayfarers, which was weighted like a 3.8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because there's this overall flow of the game. You're like, okay, I need to get these manuscripts, I need the right people to translate them, and then I need to perform that action. And yeah, there's 100 steps like in between and surrounding that, but there's kind of this clear flow to it. Yeah, Scholars is good.
I need to try both of them for sure. Next time we hang out, we got to try whichever one you prefer more.
Dude, next time, let's do the trilogy. We start with Wayfarers, we go to Scholars, and then we do Inventors.
I really do want to play Wayfarers again also. So
it's good. It's good.
It is.
So yeah.
All right.
For preciousness of time, that's all I'll say. But do you have any new plays?
Yeah, well, a lot probably since we last recorded. But I'm gonna spotlight the game Raw by Reiner Knizia. This was I've never really I've heard about it, but it hasn't really. The fact that it's a Reiner Knizia has interested me. But it's mostly like an auction game, which doesn't interest me as much. But essentially, you're just every round you're like flipping out tiles, and people can make bets on every single tile that comes out. Essentially, but there's kind of a push your luck element to it, where like if nobody makes a bet on the first tile, then you flip out a second one, and then you're auctioning off both of them. If nobody makes a bet, then you flip out a third one, and you're auctioning off all 3. Right? So the longer everyone waits to even start bidding, the more is at stake. But then everyone has their like 3 different value stones. I think the numbers are like 1 through 12 or 1 through 13. And so you might have like the 2, 7, and 12, and I might have like a 1, 5, 13 or something, whatever. Right? So you know what everybody's bidding power is. And just essentially over the course of a few rounds, betting things out. Once you use one of your numbers, there's this mechanism where you swap it out for a different one. But it's all about auctioning, and then you have all these different tiles, right, that all score differently, essentially. And so it's interesting, you're playing the other players more than you're playing the game. There's a little bit of push your luck, but it's like almost all player interaction, and then kind of like different types of set collection, essentially, right? So it's really good. I think we played the remastered or like anniversary edition or whatever. So high quality and a lot of fun, man. I love me a good Knizia.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. It's from 99, dude. This is an old game.
Yeah, the one we played, it was remade in the past couple of years, I think. So I don't know what the one from 99 looks like, but the one we played looked really good, actually.
Okay. I don't think I played many Knizia games, so I need to give this a try.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites, man. His designs are always so fascinating that he can be like, here's a few rules, but then it's coming back to nuance, it's the nuance of how those rules interact with each other and how the people interact with them, right? So, yeah. I mean, Lost Cities, I don't know if you ever played Lost Cities. It's that way. It's like there's 3 rules, but it's just, you could just play it endlessly. So,
I think we played it one time a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Ooh, Shot and Totten. Looks like we did that one too. Also.
Yeah.
Trying to look up games by him. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all very exciting, but you know what's even more exciting, Nate, is us geeking out about a bunch of numbers that we recorded over the past year. Isn't that fun?
This is where we might start to lose people, but you know what, Cody? This podcast is about us, not about them. So they already got their 10 minutes of board game banter. Now we're going to talk, we're going to talk all about a lot of board games, that's for sure. But we're talking about lists, baby.
Isn't it weird the things that we get excited about? The fact that we both keep track of all this over the year, but then that we want to like analyze it and talk about it. Like I was explaining what we're doing for this episode to Kirsten, and she was kind of like smiling and nodding blankly to me, but I could tell that she was just like being nice and that she did not care at all about the fact that, but see, I tracked and this is the game that improved the most over the year, and so it gets this many points according to where it landed, and then it's
she's
the most
just sitting over there like, when does the second half of the next season of Bridgerton come
out? So anyway, this should be fun.
It should be fun. So if you haven't picked up on it, we are analyzing, basically it's the year in review, right? So we're talking about our 2024 top 100s, but we're also talking about just the games we played and looking at some of the stats surrounding that. So we're pulling a lot of the prompts from what we did last year, and we added in a few new ones, cut a couple of the trash ones. So Cody, let's start with analyzing our top 100s here. The classic question, the modern classic question. Looking at just our top 25, who introduced the other person to more of those top 25? This question's going to get harder as the years go by, because it'll be harder to remember, like, did they teach me that game or did I teach them? Because the first, like, 2-3 years of our gaming was so intertwined, Yeah.
Well, and I bet that's definitely going to divert more and more as we keep introducing ourselves to our own games. So the number is going to get smaller. But, that'll be interesting to see the games that do persist and remain there in the top 25. That actually, maybe not in the next couple of years, but maybe like once we have 10 years worth of plays, that would be interesting to look at like games that have never dropped out of our top 10, something like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. All right, well, I got my stats down. I went through my top 25, and you introduced me to 5.5 games. Now, I say half because I have 5 written down that I know for sure, like you brought over and you taught me. But the half one was you bought me Viticulture Essential Edition, like as a present. So you hadn't played it before. So it was like you didn't teach it to me exactly, right? But you still sort of introduced it to me. So we'll leave that, I guess, as like a tiebreaker, unless you also have a half.
Well, that's funny because that makes my 5 a 4.5 because I have Viticulture down. Actually, why don't you go through what are the games that that made it?
All right. I think this is an order of like top to bottom, except for Viticulture's at the end. So Tapestry, Stronghold 2nd Edition, Dune Imperium, Champions of Midgard, and Castles of Burgundy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So for me, we've got number 8, like number 8 on my top 25, Scythe. Number 12, Seven Wonders Duel. Number 14, Ark Nova. Number 24, Underwater Cities. And number 25, Viticulture. Barely hanging on, but I guess technically that's 4.5 then. So
I guess so. Well, yeah. So why do you have it down as I introduced you to it? Because you bought it for me, and I didn't even really know that much about it. Like I heard the game, I knew it was Stonemaier, but like that's all I knew.
I guess because you taught it to me. I don't know. In my head, it's just a game that I learned from you, right? So
okay, all right. Maybe we just call it a wash. So you got 4 and I have 5, basically.
Meaning that you introduced me to 4 and I introduced you to 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
you win.
So I win.
Dang it.
All right.
I think did you win last year too?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember what the numbers were.
That's funny. All right. Let's move on, Cody. What was your most improved game? So the game that went up from your 2023 top 100. How whichever one moved up the most to your current list.
My most improved game is one that I was not really expecting, but I suppose that's why they're usually the most improved. This was Dominion, a game that I trashed, and the previous year, let's see, where was it in 2022? Let me find this. Because it has this kind of yo-yo effect, I feel like. Dominion.
You definitely have a love-hate relationship with it.
Well, it looks like it was 83 in 2022, so I definitely wasn't loving it back then. And then in 2023...
I bet it went up.
Oh, no, it stayed right at 83. That's pretty crazy, man. Which actually means it improved because, let's see, there were 18 new games I played above it that it persisted against. So then it went up. It's on space 45.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. In my top half, my top 100.
I would genuinely say you're addicted to Dominion in the truest sense, which is that you kind of hate it, but you just play it constantly.
Just got to get that fixed, man. It's just so quick, so easy to play.
Okay. My most improved game is not something I played this year, so, whatever.
Okay.
It's currently my number 45. It's up 40 places from last year. This is Tiny Towns.
Wait, it's current. So both of our most improved games is Space 45 right now.
Interesting.
That's crazy, man.
Collusion? Anyways, I don't think you've played Tiny Towns. I haven't played it in a couple of years. I really want to play it some more. It's a fantastic game where you are trying to complete there's like a bunch of little buildings that come out, and you have to build the pattern of them with colored cubes on a little grid, essentially. So basically, you're not drafting, but you're obtaining cubes and adding them to your board in order to build, that shape. And once you build it, you take all of them off except one. One of them has to stay. Or no, you put the building on in place of one of those cubes, so then that little spot is blocked. So slowly you're filling up your whole mat, right? Because every time you build a building, all the cubes come off, but one building piece goes on the board. So it gets more and more congested. But the most interesting part is that on your turn, you pick a color of cube, and everyone in the game has to take that color and add it to their board somewhere. So like you can't just meticulously plan out every single move you're going to make the whole game, because you don't know what colors the other people around the table are going to pick. So yeah, it's very interesting, and really shines at 3. It wasn't great at 2, but
I've never heard of this designer, Peter McPherson.
Yeah, me neither, actually. What else has he done?
Let's see. I kind of want to add this to my list now because it looks fun. I know I've heard of it before. Fit to Print.
Oh, okay.
And Wormholes.
Yeah.
That seem to be the highest ones that he has. Yeah, everything else is like expansions.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Tiny Towns isn't fantastic at 2 because it's a little too loose. You can still kind of do whatever you want because there's only one other person that's affecting you. But once it gets to 3, it's really, really good. So.
Okay, all right. Hey, let's flip it now. You can go first for this next one. What is your most dropped game?
My most dropped game. So
Throw some hate.
My most improved game went up, and I haven't played it this year. My most dropped game went down because I played it. I remembered it being a lot better than it was. So this is Alhambra, which is sitting at 78. It went down 53 spaces. It was at 25 because I enjoyed it a lot when I played it back in, whatever it was, 2023, 2, I don't even remember. And I was just like, man, Alhambra is such a good game, such a good game. I finally recently played it on BGA, which, not the best way to play board games, but still played it again a couple times on BGA, and I was like, yeah, it's good design, but like I was way overhyping this, or, I remembered it to be way better than it was, so.
All right, then. Okay. I have not played it. I have no idea what it's about. I don't like the title, man. I'll tell you that. Alhambra.
You do or you don't?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't like it. Apparently, I can't even spell it because I can't find it on Board Game Geek, so.
That's funny. It's a great, it's just a little like tile drafting, city building game with an interesting economy aspect to it, but nothing too crazy.
So how many spaces did it drop?
It dropped 53.
Dang, that's a lot, man.
It is a lot.
That hurts. That's that might rival my drop from last year. Let's see. Oh yeah, Hadara went down 49 spaces.
Actually, I think it went down, if I remember correctly, it went down 49 spaces for both of us, because for last year, Hadara was the game that dropped the most for both of us.
Was it?
Yeah.
It also went down 49 for you. That is hilarious, man.
That is funny.
How does that happen? All right, well, mine did not nearly plummet that much, because it's still not a terrible game. But yes, because of a play this year, it was solidified in my mind of like, okay, here's my answer for it. This is Terraforming Mars. Went down 35 places. It now sits at 53. So Dominion like went up above Terraforming Mars, which is pretty crazy. And it's not a terrible game, but over the past couple of years, in my top 100, there's been this dance between Terraforming Mars and then Ares Expedition, where they always land very close to each other, and usually Terraforming Mars is like 1 or 2 spaces above Ares Expedition. Because usually in like Pub Meeple, I end up comparing them. And I'm like, well, TM like is the better game overall, and so I'm just going to put it like right there.
It's the bigger, badder Euro of the two.
Yeah, basically. But it's been a long time since I've played it, and so granted, what I played was the BGA adaptation, and it was like the solo mode. So there's like less player interaction, and there's kind of more this race component to it. But I still got to like go through the mechanics of it again, and I actually realized that I don't really like it. Well, I don't hate it, but I don't like it as much as I thought I did. And in fact, I think that Ares Expedition is the superior experience. So I like the fact that TM has like the big, like the map component. Ares Expedition just kind of has that as a placeholder. It doesn't really have any other function to it. And TM, it actually is a bit more of a puzzle that you're doing along with everything else. But I just realized that Ares Expedition kind of fixes all the weird problems in TM. It streamlines it a lot more. And in some of the things that it doesn't have, you can just get those in expansions and then still basically play a very similar game, and you can get that nice, happy experience. And so, sorry, Terraforming Mars. You have dropped in my heart. You're staying on the list.
Yeah,
that's where you're at.
It actually dropped a lot for me this year, too. It went down 25 spaces to spot 34.
Whoa.
But
okay.
It's the reason it's still pretty high on my list is partially a nostalgia factor. It's a game that I played early on in the hobby and played an absolute ton of times. And it's kind of this like clunky classic in my mind, because it has its issues and it wears them on its sleeve. But it's still, I've just played it so much that it still flows so smoothly despite its issues. Yeah, so.
So when are we going to try Terraforming Mars, the dice game, Nate?
Never. I have no interest.
Never.
Okay.
It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good.
Does it? Isn't it like the lowest rated of all three?
It is, but it looks good.
Sure.
So there you go.
Okay. The next question was actually kind of answered, or absolutely answered on our previous episode. But Cody, what's your highest new game this year? The newest edition?
So this is a game that I have kind of talked about plenty, but I think when I played it was like right at the tail end of the previous year, or it might even have been like, it was like still in the previous year, but it was like after we finished the episode, so it like didn't make the list or something. That weird caveat. Nucleum. Nucleum is my highest new, And I think it might be the highest new I've ever had, other than obviously the first time we ever made a top 100 when the number one is going to be the highest, right?
It's hard to beat that, yeah.
It is. So since the very first time I made a top 100, I haven't had a new that was 1. But I've had a new that is 2, and that is Nucleum. Incredible game. It almost, in my mind, usurped Scythe, and I kind of talked myself down a little bit, but it's right there in the precipice, just because it's such a good game. I've talked about it before, so I don't have to get all into it again. I sincerely hope, Nate, it is my deepest desire that you get to play Nucleum this year.
I will endeavor to do so, Cody.
All right. Yes.
All right, my answer to this question, obviously also answered on the previous episode, is a fantastic game. Came in at spot number 4. This is Terra Mystica. Pretty much nothing but good to say about this game. It's honestly not that complicated, not as complicated as the complexity rating would probably lead you to believe. But again, as we already discussed, people interpret complexity differently. But it's just so clean, man. The player interaction is so good. The economy system. One of the coolest parts, I haven't really talked about this much in all the times I've talked about Terra Mystica, but I love the power cycling system. It's one of the specific resources in the game has like 3 different phases that it cycles through. So like when it's in the 3rd phase, you can actually use it. And when you use it, it goes back to the 1st phase, which is useless. And then when you upgrade it, it goes to the 2nd phase, which you can't use. But if you want to, you can actually permanently sacrifice one like resource to move one to the 3rd like area where it can be used. So it's got an interesting like sacrificing situation where you're like, I really want to take this action that requires 6 energy. I only have 3, so I'm going to sacrifice 3 from my 2nd pool to move 3 up to the 3rd pool, so I have 6 that I can use. It's just a cool cycling system that takes a game to wrap your head around, but the implications are amazing. But there's so many aspects to Terra Mystica I love. Not going to get into it now, but great game.
It's interesting that in the description it says it's a full information game without any luck, which is like, chess falls in that category. I find that interesting. I want to play this now.
Coming back to nuanced definitions, depends on how you define luck. I would say there's no randomness after the setup. There's no randomness. But I would say what other people do is luck. Like at the beginning of every single round, there's different power tiles that you draft. So if somebody drafts one that you wanted, that's bad luck, right? So, it depends on how you define luck, but there's no randomness after setup, that's for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, chess is like that too.
Right.
Like, if someone does something else, then that eliminates possibilities for you and so forth.
And you had no control over it, essentially, yeah. So there is luck in chess, we have established. Let the haters hate.
Let the record show that I'm not agreeing with Nate on this.
You don't agree? You wouldn't say there's luck in chess?
Piece.
You don't agree?
No, that's not luck, man. That's not luck.
What's luck?
Luck is like something's going to happen that no one can anticipate.
That's randomness.
So, randomness.
Yeah, that's random.
Well, I feel like that's also luck because that can be good or bad for you. But if we're like playing chess or we're doing something similar and you make a move, or if we're like on the scythe board and you like make a move with your combat troops and that inconveniences me, I wouldn't say that's bad luck for me. That's just you made a good play and I didn't anticipate that.
But you're predicating this on the fact that I did it because it would inconvenience you. What if I'm like, I want to go over here because I want to get, whatever. I have a personal goal or something. So I make this move and that move happens to obstruct your path. Totally. I wasn't doing that intentionally. That is pure bad luck for you that you had no control over because of a decision I made. How is that any different than just random draw of a bag to you?
Well, it's still something I could have like planned for.
No, you can't because you don't know what I'm going to do.
It was a possibility. Well, but I mean, I know it's possible. I know that that's an area that could have been covered.
But you know that too. If you're drawing things out of a bag, you know what you could draw if you know what's in the bag, but you can't plan for it because you don't know what you're going to draw. So you know what I could do on my turn.
It is randomness, though, at that point.
Right, but what I'm saying is that it's like squares and rectangles. All randomness is luck, but not all luck has to be complete randomness.
I don't know, man. I don't know about these definitions you're throwing around.
Sleep on it. Sleep on it.
Hey, I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm not going to Google this.
All right.
How about that?
I'm going to be the bigger man, and I'm going to change subjects. Let's move on to the next topic. This is a new entry, and I'm surprised we didn't do it last time. Cody, what is the lowest complexity game on your 2024 top 100?
My lowest complexity game is a game that I'm assuming will probably always be my lowest complexity game. I don't know. It's hard to like play a super, super low skill game and then have it qualify for your top 100. And I'm trying to find, where is this on my list? Oh, wait a second. What? Uh-oh, Nate. Oh, no.
Is it not on your list?
Did I do something wrong?
What's the game?
Why did I pick this? 10-minute heist.
Yo, that's trash. That shouldn't be on your list.
That
was probably last year's.
Dude, I did this wrong then. Why did I have that on my list? I don't know. It's so embarrassing for me.
Well,
It was 63 in 2023, so it really had to.
Wow, that might have dropped the most out of all of your.
Well, it may have been. Maybe that's what happened. I think maybe I had my list down to like 109 or something, and I had that on for a little bit. So I wonder if I searched it.
Well, looking at your
I don't know
list,
what my lowest complexity game is.
I'm gonna say it's probably Scout. Look up the weight for Scout. I bet Scout is like a 1.2 or something.
It's a 1.36, which I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. Like Scout, there's some thinking that goes on in there.
Yeah, maybe Floriferous.
But sure. Did Floriferous make my list?
It's at the bottom.
Though?
It's definitely above 10-minute heist. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, Floriferous is 1.69. Nah. Well, I guess according to BGG, my lowest is Scout. Who saw that coming?
Scout's pretty low for you, man. 86. The disrespect is real.
Hey, well, it's just that there's 85 other games that I thought were better. So
It'll move up.
We'll see.
All right. Clocking in at my number 48 is my lightest game with a weight of 1.08.
Whoa, what?
Vegetable stock.
What is this?
Have I talked about this game?
You have.
This is a great little game, man. It's fantastic. It plays in literally like 5 minutes. And
the fact that it's a 1.08 though makes me not.
No, dude, it's fantastic. The first like 3/4 of the game is just chaos, and then the last round of the game matters so much. It's amazing. Like you're basically like you flip up a number of vegetable cards, player +1. Everybody drafts one, and then the one that's left over, let's say there's like 2 broccolis and a carrot on that card that's left over. That will change the stock values for broccoli and carrots overall. So like broccoli will move up twice and carrots will move up once, right? So they're both worth more. You do that like 4 or 5 times, and then at the end of the game, whatever cards you've collected and drafted, you will score based on their ending values. But that sounds really boring. What's interesting is that there's a market cap for everything, right? So like if it hits up to 5, but it's supposed to go up further, it crashes and goes all the way back down to 0. So the whole game, you're kind of manipulating the stocks and, trying to, the thing you've been collecting the most of, you're trying to raise as much as you can without letting it crash. But at the same time, there's so much that's out of your control. So it's great. I mean, it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. So now let me hit you up, Nate, with get this. Raccoon Tycoon.
Trash. I hate that game.
That's sad. It's real sad, man.
What about it?
Hey, this is on tabletop merchant for $11. Flat rate shipping of $15 though. Dang it.
The box is worth more than the game. Checks out. Why are you bringing up Raccoon Tycoon? Because it's a stock market game?
Yeah, and because, I don't know, it sounds possibly more impressive than a bunch of vegetables. I don't know.
No, Cody. All right.
Okay.
Let's do the more interesting one, which is, of course, the highest complexity game on your list.
This would be Inventors of the South Tigris, except I did not play Inventors of the South Tigris last year. That was this year. This is a game I've already mentioned. This is Nucleum at 4.16. Yeah. This may persist the following year as my second highest complexity game, because I don't think there's anything in between. Like, let me look up Scholars.
Yeah, Scholars has got to be pretty high too.
Scholars is 4.07. So,
But you see,
Nucleum's
the
barely
complexity
beats it out.
ratings could change too, right? Like, I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, because brass, I always remember brass used to be like 3.92 is what it would sit at. And now, 3.87. It's gone down.
Everything
it's below
will,
3.9.
right? Everything will, like, as people rate it, it'll peak, and then over time, it'll slowly go down because games are going to get more complicated. And so, perspective-wise, people are going to be like, I've already played this insane game, so brass is like a 3, you know? Or people play it
guess
a
that's
bunch,
true.
and then they'll go modify their rating because it's easier for them, you know? So, it's a flawed
Yeah.
system, to be sure, but it's democracy, so...
Sure, and it's not entirely trustworthy, but it is still a fun metric to kind of evaluate. Dude, Arc Nova's 3? Dang. Get out of here, Arc Nova. Trash. Gloomhaven's down to 4. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, the fall has started for Gloomhaven.
Man.
No coming back.
Where's Scythe nowadays? Scythe
Top
Scythe
20.
isn't even in the top 15. It's 19.
Yeah. All right.
Well, anyway.
I'm not sure what the right answer is here for me. So technically, the answer is probably Spirit Island at 59, which is a 4.07. But
Oh.
the weird thing is, it kind of should be Terra Mystica. So Terra Mystica is only a 3.97, but Terra Mystica is kind of a placeholder for Age of Innovation as well, because they're very nearly the same game. I leave Terra Mystica in there as the placeholder because that's the version I prefer. But Age of Innovation is a 4.26, I think. So it's... And actually, the funny thing is, I actually think Terra Mystica's the more difficult game of the two. I think Age of Innovation is easier while technically having more going on. But so take it for what you will. Technically Spirit Island, because Age of Innovation isn't technically on my list, but with Terra Mystica as a placeholder, it kind of is. So
You just need to play Innovation, and then you'll just be like, this game is trash. And you'll play
Innovation looks
something
like
else.
trash. It might be a good game, but it looks bad. I'll say that much.
No, like the game itself also, well, it's not exactly trash. I mean, it's definitely not in my top 100. I don't think it ever landed in my top 100, but it's okay. It's
Okay,
way too long.
This one's always interesting. I'll go ahead and go first on this one. Biggest
Do it.
surprise. So there's not a lot of rules for this. This could be, for whatever reason, the biggest surprise.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest surprise for me were 2 games that dropped a lot and fell out of my top 25. Games that have always been in my top 25 since I started playing games. They've been there since the beginning. And this year, I think they both dropped, I want to say 19 spaces. This was the year where I was like, okay, I'm kind of over these games. No, okay. So at number 27 and number 28, you've got Abyss and Champions of Midgard. Abyss dropped 14 spaces and Champions dropped 24 spaces. It was number 4 last year, down to 28.
Wow, man.
Yeah, I played both of them a couple times this year, and I just, they kind of hit that spot where I was like, they're good games, but they aren't, I don't know, they just weren't doing it for me as much, Same with Terraforming Mars, right? So they dropped a bit for that reason. So they fell out of the top 25. Shocked me because they've been classics, they've been staples since the beginning. So
yeah. It hurts when a game gets pushed out, even of your top 10. Like, I was just looking, this isn't one of my biggest surprises, but Dune Imperium was 9 last year, and it's 11 this year, so it got pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything else got pushed out. I think it's mostly stayed the same. But yeah, I have a few different surprises, so I'll just kind of speed through them. Gloomhaven might kind of be the biggest one. It dropped down to 34, and it used to be 17, so it went down 17 spaces, which is a pretty big leap, especially from up that high. But I don't know, Gloomhaven's a great game. It's difficult to manage. There's so much to it. It's hard to get out.
Yeah.
And I still love the system, but that's what happened. Azul had a big drop.
Yes, finally, its time has come.
Azul dropped even more than Gloomhaven. It's went down 18 spaces, and it's now at 88.
Next year, baby.
So,
next year.
It's a big leap. What else? Although accounting for all the new games that appeared above it, actually only dropped 3 spaces. So I guess that wasn't that big. Then we also, I mean, Nucleum at number 2, I'm going to call that a big surprise.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when it first hit my list, it was around like 11 or 12, I think. And then I hadn't played it for a long time, and then played it again at the end of, well, it was like October of last year. And it going up to 2, I was like, what?
Yeah, and
well, okay,
that's
all right.
part of why I think that second play for big, heavy games is so important, right? Because you're still wrapping your head around it after the first play. But I guess Carnegie didn't move much. Like, I think it came, if I remember correctly, it came in at 11. You've played it a few times now, and it's only down at 12. So,
Yeah, so it barely moved. It may drop more. I'm not sure. Carnegie's a tough one. You need to play that more with like 3 players, not just like 2.
Yeah.
And the final one I'll mention is Scholars of the South Tigris. So that's the second highest new of the year. So that's number 7 for me now in 2024. And mainly the surprise was that it beat Paladins. Paladins was always my favorite.
Yeah.
I was going to say West Kingdom game, but always my favorite Garfield game. But Scholars took it over.
You probably also didn't play Paladins this year, did you?
No, I did. I did actually.
Okay.
I played it with the. I got some new expansion for it that I played towards the beginning of the year, and that was fun. I still love Paladins. Scholars just kind of struck me,
Yeah.
So there you go.
Cool. All right.
What's our next thing? Aha! I'm going to introduce this one, Nate, because this was by my suggestion. And I feel like this is just kind of fun to analyze. But at what point on your list, so as you progress down and you get to the lower numbers, at what point do you stop considering the games on your list, quote unquote, top tier? So this can be however you want to define it. But, it's at what point are you not really excited about the games anymore?
Okay, so it's funny. So going through this, obviously, I started at the top, worked my way down.
Yeah.
And at spot number 31, I hit a game that I would in no way define as top tier. But I had to keep going because there were games below it that definitely did.
Yeah, it happens, man. It happens.
So my number 31 Le Grand Hut is like not a top tier game for so many reasons, but I do love it, and that's why it's so high, right? Because then I'm looking below it, I'm like, oh, we got Anachrony, Unmatched, like Revive, like these are top tier games. So I kept going, right? So my official split is between Root and Civilization: A New Dawn, between my 43 and my 44. I'm saying that's where the cut is. Everything Root and up, everything 43 and up is top shelf. Everything Civilization: A New Dawn and down is just a step down from S tier.
All right. Okay. So S tier, that's where you're going. I think if we're going by that category, where I considered top tier was basically like A or even like B plus and higher.
Oh, I was thinking
I was a bit more generous.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
They're basically games that are like more a half and half of like, these games, these are great, I'd be happy to own them, and I consider them good. And then there's kind of like a step down to like, yeah.
Well,
so I mean, mine
here's
is
the
going
thing.
to have
So
sections.
I said S tier, but like for a game to be truly S tier, it has to be the complete package. And again, coming back to games like Le Grand Hut, they are not the complete package, right? So maybe not S tier. S tier, probably the cutoff is much higher. But top shelf, definitely everything Root and above, yeah.
Okay. If we go by your first grouping, I mean, I might have to say like about 30 and higher would be like, these are the best games. But how I defined this was I was a lot more generous with my own list, especially since you've played a lot more games than I have at this point. But number 70 cuts off right after Blitzkrieg.
So then we're going right before that, right?
So 71 is Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, 70 is Blitzkrieg. So that line in between 70 and 71 is it's like everything above is basically a game that I'd be happy to own.
Like
and
Hadara,
then kind of going down,
even though you
like,
sold it.
No, I have. Yeah, I have Hadara.
You still have
What are
Hadara.
we talking about?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Your most dropped game from last year is top tier. All right.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's okay if it drops a whole bunch. Like, you can drop from 1 to 69 at this point. Scythe can drop 68 spaces and still be top
That'd
tier.
be a good year, Cody.
This year. That would be a crazy year. Dude, man. That'd be insane. Anyway. Yeah, it's my list.
Okay, that's funny. All right, that's it for analyzing the top 100s, but don't go anywhere yet because we need to analyze our plays of 2024.
Yeah, baby.
All right, Cody, you want to go first?
As in I read the thing first or I answer the question first? I'm very confused.
Your choice, I guess.
All right, you read the question and I'll answer. How about that?
All right, Cody. First up, we have total plays, and I want to know physical and digital, all right, because they both matter separately to me. So I would say, but yeah, do it however you want, I guess.
Okay, yeah, so I broke it down as I had 292 total plays, and about 180 of those were digital. So,
and about
like
170 of them were Dominion.
No, there's a lot of Wingspan and a lot of Tapestry mixed in there.
Sure. All right.
But yeah, it's basically what I'm running with. How about you?
Total, all-inclusive, 441. And
Dang.
Physical, 389 of those were physical. That means I actually played more than one physical game per day last year. That's actually insane.
That's crazy. You played more physical plays than I had total plays in 2024. That's pretty crazy.
Game group, man. Find a game group.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk win-loss then, Cody. You probably gonna beat me on this topic. That's for sure.
Probably because of Wingspan. Dominion definitely hurt. I mean, if I'm looking at my previous year, I didn't put it down here. I know I had a really good KD in 2023.
Yeah, you did.
It's basically because I played like 7,000 games of Wingspan and I won like 99% of them against the AI. But this time I didn't play as much Wingspan and I played like 4 times as much Dominion. So my win-loss ratio is I had 140 wins and 120 losses.
Ooh, not quite.
There's some that I just, I know that doesn't cover all of my plays, but it's like some of the cooperative ones I didn't include and some I just didn't have anything written down. I don't remember why.
Yeah.
But yeah, barely eked it out.
Well, still beats me because I had 245 losses to 196 wins. So.
Dang. But also lots more physical plays. So you weren't as much head to head with some easy AI opponents.
Yeah. A lot of them weren't just, for sure. And also it's kind of weird, like if you play Tapestry solo, what's the qualifier for winning? Or Wingspan? Like, is it just a point threshold? But then a lot of times it's like, it just tells you how good you did if you're in this section.
Well,
how good.
Wingspan I play on the app, so you're actually playing against bots. On
okay. All right.
Tapestry, the Automa does win or does get points, so you have to beat a point threshold.
Cool.
And those points differ, but they actually have like an AI player type thing now, or the Automa. Maybe it was just the Automa, which basically does things. Anyway, points.
I always kind of prefer a win-loss to like, here's like your, you did super great, or you did great, or you did okay, or you did not so great. Like depending on how much you scored, it's like that's just dumb. I hate that. So
it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some cooperative games that are kind of like that. Like how many points did you get from this thing? This gets you in this category. Like, wow.
Yeah, like who cares, right? All right.
Nate, what month? I'm taking it. What month did you have the most plays in this year? And how many plays were in that month?
This one kind of shocked me, but I guess I wasn't very busy during this month. So December had the most plays. I thought it'd be over the summer, but it was December. With 89 plays. 89.
Dang,
67 of which were physical. So I was averaging more than 2 games a day. Which is just weird. Yeah.
That's a lot of plays, man. But not as many as I also had December with 119 plays. So Nate, that's 40% of all the plays I did in 2024 were in December.
That's amazing. That's amazing, dude.
And that's probably like 60 or 70% of the digital plays. It's basically just because of Dominion. I played 101 games of Dominion in December.
So funny, man. That's so funny.
I know.
All right.
Anyway, What's our next one?
Our
there.
last one that's not a list. New games learned, and what's your grand total games you've played?
Yes, I like this stat.
All right.
I guess I should answer it.
Too
Or
late.
should you answer
I'm
it?
taking
You
it now. You
All right.
stalled too
Do it.
long.
Dang it.
123 new plays this year, which is contributing generously to my overall total of 366 unique games that I have played that I qualify as games. There are certain things I don't put on the list, things like Monopoly and such, but yeah.
Garbage. True trash. Yeah. You swamped me because I had 36 new plays. And that brings me to a grand... Wait.
I thought you had 28.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong list. There we go. You still swamped me even more. I had 29 new plays for a grand total of 252. I remember a time, Nate, probably just about a year ago, maybe a little bit over, when I had more plays than you.
Yeah.
And then probably over like the last 14 months, you just like played 10,000 games and zoop.
Yeah, we go through seasons, right? Like you've been a lot busier this year. This year I've been a lot busier, but I also joined a game group, and so you just have access to so many more games, through that. And I love learning new games. Like when I go to a meetup, I'm always there to learn something new. I always bring games with me in case somebody sees something and they're like, "Oh, I want to play that," and I'll be happy to teach. But I always go to a meetup wanting to learn a new game or two. So,
yeah, I like that. Before we leave this section, though, I have a peripheral question, which is how many new games hit your top 100 for the year?
Oh yeah, right. That's a good one. So of the 123 new games that I learned this year, 43 of them are present in my top 100. So I basically replaced almost half of my list, which I'm happy with. That's good. Like if I played 123 new games and like 15 of them were top 100 material, that would be sad.
And what's that ratio? So 43 divided by 123. So 35% of the new games you played made it onto your top 2024.
Yeah.
Which, as you play more games, doesn't mean as much because I had 18 new games that made it to the list. But
so
from
like
29, that's 62%. Yeah. Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, obviously if you play 200 games, then the best possible percentage you could get is 50 if all 100.
True, right?
Top. So, yeah, as time goes on, that's going to get lower and lower.
That's funny. Yeah, good job including that. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, I didn't even think about it until now. But then I thought about it, so there you go.
All right, let's end with our little mini list here, which is our top 3 most played games on the year. I will be curious, actually, to hear what you've got for this, because I don't really know, what you've been playing a lot of this year. Well, I know what your number 1 is if you're including digital plays. But,
I did include digital plays,
okay.
For sure.
I didn't, but it didn't matter because nothing would have made it. So my top 3, here we go. My number 3 is Cartographers with 14 plays, which honestly might be less than last year, but it's still quite a bit. It's a smaller game. Obviously, all of my top 3 are here, but I love me some Cartographers and looking forward to more of it next year for sure. This year.
Apparently, you can play it on BGA, so I might give that another try and see. I mean, I own it physically. Right. It's just we don't really ever pull it out.
Yeah.
I mean, just for fun. All right. Wait, were we supposed to do our top 3 most played games?
Yeah.
Or we're just going like...
Yeah, list style.
Wait, was that your first or third most?
That was my third most.
I see what's going on. Okay, well... my answer is going to be like super obvious because any of the physical plays I had are probably just going to basically break even. Like, probably the biggest one would be like 3 or 4 plays maybe per.
I mean, probably Three Sisters would have made the list, right? You probably played that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but that's, again, probably 3 or 4.
Right.
So the third most for me is Tapestry from Digital Plays. I didn't actually write down the...
Does that mean Scythe didn't make it? Does that mean Scythe didn't make it?
I did not. I I think I played Scythe once this year.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
It's sad, man. I need to get. I mean, I have the app for it, so I should get back to playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But Tapestry. I mean, Tapestry. I probably played like, I don't know, 20 to 30 times, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe closer to 20. But yeah, that's what I got. Thanks to BGA. Yeah.
My number 2 and my number 1's kind of a toss-up, not because they have the same number, but because it depends on how you define it. So technically, my number 2 is Next Station London with 19 plays. But if you include Next Station Tokyo and Next Station Paris, because they're all like very similar, then it would be my number 1. But we'll leave it at my number 2. We'll say just Next Station London with 19 plays.
My number 2, no surprises here. Wingspan, baby. Wingspan, again, I didn't get like the exact numbers for these, but just like glancing through as probably like 40 plays, 30 to 40, something like that.
You're a master, Cody, an absolute master.
Ish. Go watch my strategy guide video and learn.
All right, my number 1 with 23 plays. It's almost a cop-out, not as much as your entire list, but because it's so easy, because it's just a card game. Scout, I played 23 times this year. I just love it, man. If you've been listening to this podcast and you haven't picked up Scout, even if, I mean, Cody will give you his testimony. Even if it looks like trash, just go pick it up from Target for $12, all right, and give it a try because it's really amazing. Here.
Second that. All right. Well, my number 1, easy peasy. It's been talked about. 101 plays alone in December. Probably a total of like 120, maybe, for the year is Dominion. Dominion rocked my world this year, dude.
It's the year of Dominion. Actually, I feel like last year was the year of Dominion because last year was the year we both really started playing it. Especially because it was like January of last year that you told me about it. Like the app had just come out or something. And then Anna and I were traveling for most of 2023. And so I was just playing it constantly last year. I think you played it quite a bit too.
I did. I got probably close to 90 plays last year, or the previous year. 80 something. Yeah, it was a lot.
Well, also, they did this thing last year that I think they stopped doing, which is where they would always have at least one expansion available. It'd be available for like 3 or 4 days, and then they'd lock it, but unlock a different one. That might have been just to get people like to download the app and get hooked on it. And now it's all behind a paywall except the one daily game, right? So,
well, it's like the app is free, and then you have to pay $5 per expansion. It's like I don't even want to buy a single expansion for this thing. Like I don't know.
Yeah, but well, Cody, with as much as you played, it would almost be worth it. But the thing is, it's like if you compare it to buying it physically too, brand new physically, every expansion is going to run you
for sure.
At least $30, right? So.
And there's what, like at least a dozen, something like that. I know there's some like
more
smaller
than that.
expansions
There's
too.
more than that, yeah.
More than a dozen? Dang.
Well, they're still making them, man. So.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, I think
even know
so.
that, dude.
Let me check. I bet there's a 2024 expansion for Dominion.
They need to chill. Is it the same designer still?
His name's probably attached to it. I don't know if he's still alive.
Donald X Vaccarino.
What's the most recent? I see 2018, 2020, 2022. There were 2 expansions in 2022. And now they're also doing this thing where they're coming out with the second editions. Here we go. Rising Sun 2024. Dominion Rising Sun. It's got an 8.5 rating. That's pretty good. Same designer.
Dude, let me read you his bio that's on Board Game Geek. Donald X was born in 1969 after years of not existing. Of his life?
He definitely wrote this himself, no question.
Of his life, little is known. Donald X is like something you've forgotten that no one wants you to remember. He's everything and nothing, but not at the same time. If you rotate Donald X 360 degrees, he'll only be standing upside down. You have to rotate him 720 degrees to get him back where he started. You know how if you hook tons and tons of computers together, they'll develop some kind of bizarre mass sentience? That's Donald X in a nutshell. In fact, Donald X is nothing more than a corrupt, profane monument to a slightly earlier version of himself. And remember, this is the end of the episode.
Cody, this 2024 expansion is Japanese themed, my man. Rising Sun.
What?
And the art.
That's a game already, dude.
The art still looks like, pretty much trash, but, cool theme. It's got little wooden tokens. What? Dominion with wooden tokens?
What? Whoa.
Actually,
You literally cut out. Speak.
wooden tokens. Can you hear me?
Well, I can't hear anything, so I'm shutting this off.